Good evening. I'm Dana Robinson, and I'm here on behalf of Arts and Scraps, and I have with me Patrick, and he's the behind the scenes uh, person that's handling all the things that we need to do. This parents workshop is entitled Math and More with Manipulatives. Math and More with Manipulatives. So we're going to be integrating math and manipulatives while playing at home. So our emphasis is always to have fun, but in the fun, we like to also learn some things. Um, if I could, I'd like to see our agenda, and we'll have that put up on the screen, and then we'll kind of try to stick to the agenda. The first thing we have is, we have the agenda, and of course, in this agenda, I've introduced myself, and I'll give you a chance to introduce yourselves through our chat and our name. And then we have our introduction and go through the content, have an activity, and a follow-up query as to how this all worked for you. So anyway, in an introduction, as part of our introduction, we have a request that you, after signing in, while you're waiting for others to sign in, please post in your chat box one thing that is true about you that you believe no one else in this group can claim to be true about themselves. And if you go ahead and do that, we'll have that there. And I actually put mine in my name box. I guess I can do it in the chat too. Yeah, let's do that now. So it's very simple for me. I had thought maybe I would do a barometer opening exercise, but things are kind of rough for everyone, and I don't want to bring anybody down. Let's have enough time. So this process would be that beginning probably at the first person in the chat, they would tell their name and also what it is they think they've done that no one else in this group has done. And in my case, I'll start it, and it would be that I've dunked a basketball in the past. And I don't think anybody else has done that. Now, if someone else in this group did tell me that they had dunked the basketball also, or raised a hand, or put up a thumb, then I would have to come up with something else. And we would go on to the next person, and then circle back around to me, and I would have to have come up with another thing that I think is unique about me. And in the process, sometimes we find out that while we think we have very unique lives, there's a lot of commonality. And while we think a lot of our commonality is the same, we find that there's a lot of uniqueness. And so it gives us a chance to share. So having said that, we're gonna move on and consider that to have happened. And we will go into, and that would have been our icebreaker. So the main activity for this is, as I said, we're going to talk about manipulatives in math. And I have a few talking points, but before I do that, I want to talk about Arts and Scraps. We are an organization, a nonprofit that has been around 30 plus years. And our impetus is to put in front of children of all ages, and that means even adults and senior citizens. We've been in front of everyone that wants to gather together and have fun. We put together items in kits that we purposely, intentionally put together with a challenge as a title for it. And then we give them the challenge, and give them the manipulatives and the recycled things that we collect, and we ask them to complete the challenge. And then we let them go. And there's no right and wrong. We're interested in process over purpose. In that, we always accept as donations things that are both clean, clean, cool, and safe. And we have volunteers. It's a volunteer-run organization, and they process all the things. They bag it. We have a store, etc. And I'm going to end that and say, as I put up on the screen, that if you go to artsandscraps.org, you'll find our website, and there's probably everything you'd ever want to know about Arts and Scraps. And it's a great place to visit. and then it would give you a link into a great place. So that's about arts and scraps. Now this math manipulatives simplified, I'm going to talk maybe 10 minutes about the things that makes this whole manipulative world a very fruitful one. So if we go to the next slide, okay, so I have these words here, and they're just words for me to kind of keep me on sync. First thing is these manipulatives, as in the case of arts and scraps materials, is they have to be things that are cool, clean, and safe. That's number one, because sometimes manipulatives are small items that end up in the mouths of children where they shouldn't, but they do. And so we insist that all the things that we do, and when you're gathering the manipulatives that you're going to learn to gather, you want to think about that it's something that can't be swallowed. Hopefully, if they're very young, get it, that is clean, that is cool, and we don't want sharp edges, etc., that could hurt anyone. So that's the physical part of it. Adaptable is my next word, and adaptable means that in this case, for these math manipulatives, by design, manipulatives are great for all grades and all kinds of math. We think about manipulatives and math with the most common one used, and that's money. When we're talking about early mathematics, we often use either artificial money or real money to get across principle of addition, subtraction, fractions, etc. That's an example of a manipulative. And also, not only in math, but manipulatives are used virtually in every discipline, academic subject and discipline out there. They can be readily used and all, and they are effectively used, but we're concentrating on math. They have to be, we say concrete, because the idea is that it's the intention to go from things that are tactile, that they can handle, that are see, taste, touch, hear, smell things, those kinds of concrete activities leads them to the abstract understanding of mathematics. It's a way of connecting students to the abstract concepts through these visual, tactical, concrete activities. It engages them, and it's effective if it's used correctly. For CASE, C-A-S-E, that's one that we as a former teacher, and most teachers have this as their operating modus operandum. C-A-S-E stands for copy and steal everything. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to pay commercially for the zillions of manipulatives that are out there. And if you have the money, it's okay if you pay, and that's okay. But teachers, for the most part, are kind of budget wise by necessity. And so we have learned to go in and find free curriculum, and in a lot of cases, the free curriculum has tied into it store-bought or commercially available manipulatives. Well, if you look at the manipulatives, you find that there are other things around your home that can substitute in at no charge for the things that they're generally trying to sell. So when they say free, pretty much anywhere on the internet, there's usually something that they're going to benefit from. If it's not advertisement, it may be that they give you a wonderful worksheet, but you have to pay for the answers. So if you're not really strong in math, in order to get those answers, especially for higher mathematics, you may have to pay for it. In this case, it's the manipulatives, and in a lot of cases that they want you to purchase a manipulative kit or a hands-on kit. And we can adapt, and that's what Arts and Scraps is for. We provide these things that are very good for substituting that case. Now, the next one I have is ELL. ELL is English learning learners. English, is that it? English learning learners, yeah. And we used to call it English as a second language. So in this case, a lot of times there's barriers to having conversation because of the language barriers, but there's a universal language in manipulatives, and so it's very effective for handling that. Then we have modeling, and modeling means that I put that in because these physical ordeals offers the students a choice and ownership. So, I mean, physical models. So when we have these models that we're asking the kids to come up with or to manipulate, it gives them ownership and it gives them choice. It's a way of testing and confirming that the participants are reasoning as we desire them to reason. And so it's a whole body of information that says that when we give kids the choice and how they do the solving of whatever they're going to solve, they take ownership of it, and it also strengthens their confidence and affirms them, actually. So that's pretty much my pitch for why manipulatives are important. And if we can go to the next screen, we should be able to go into our activity. So this is a picture on the right of some of the manipulatives that I have. Now in your kit, if you've gotten it, that green and that yellow-black mix is part of our scrap kit that was provided with this curriculum. But you'll notice that I have, what do we call those, rubber bands? They're very popular, rainbow loom rubber bands that I'm bringing up on my screen here. There's, we have what we call a non-sticky mix, which has a lot of tickets, different multiple colored tickets, and that's a great manipulative. And there's other things in here that might be great, including puzzle pieces. And then I had Stickies. That's that material that's blue and brown, and actually that's a situation where you can peel off one side and it can actually stick down. And so that would be useful in some applications. Of course, there's coins that I don't have. Some other things that I might have had that I didn't put in there. Oh, I thought about also having the paper clips. Paper clips are a great manipulative. And then we have these things called sock loops. There's just any variety of things that are cool, clean, and safe, and uniform. They may be uniform in size and shape, but multiple colored. They may be uniform in all three: color, size, shape, etc. And you just have them available. Buttons are great. So many different things. And the whole point is, and especially beads. Beads are great too. Beads with strings. And I don't think I put that in there, but I certainly have a bag of that. So we get together these manipulatives, we have them available for us, and then we search out the curriculum. So I'm gonna now take us into the activity. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to a free curriculum math site, and we have 2 of them that's listed, and that's just a sampling of the multitude of them out there. And we're gonna pull up 2 or 3 lessons, and in the process of pulling up those lessons, we're going to have an opportunity to make decisions about which of these things would probably be best choices for using in the hands-on manipulations that are required for those lessons. So let's take away some of our stress of finding curriculum. So I'm going to ask for a share screen, and I'm going to wait to get that share screen. Has it been given to me, Patrick? Looks like I'm disabled.
If you can't on your end, I can share it on my end.
Oh, okay. So I have that control.
If you go down to share screen, and if it's not working for you, I can just share it from my end.
Okay, if you would, yeah, because it says close and ask for permission to share. I think you have to give me permission to share my screen, because I'm going to go. Would you like to share the?
I'm doing it right now. So.
Okay, great. And then that way, yeah. Okay, great. So we have this. Oh, you've got it. Good. So we have this hand to Mind link. And in that link, when we went to the page, you can see on the left side of your screen that there is K through 8 different standards and activities that have to do with those standards. And when you click on one, for example, I'll ask to click on the first one being the kindergarten, groups of 9 to 10. And what pops up is a PDF. So this is a PDF. If you look to the left of the screen, it's already got your standards on there that you're trying to deal with, and then it has an introduction. There's a talk about it that would be shared with students. In this case, this was put together for groups of 6 to 10 objects. Identify a number for a group of 6 to 10 objects, and that's the objective. And this is kindergarten, so this is appropriate. So then they ask us to try this activity, and that's on the second page. So if you go on to the second page of this activity, you see this situation involving these frog manipulatives. And so that's a good thing. So they're saying introduce the problem, have children do the activity, etc. And it says give frog counters. So frog counters are a commercially available manipulative. You know, paper, crayons, and even the number card, which is also available, is something that you can do. So in reading something like this, you would make up your own number cards, which is not problematic. And you would choose something in your group of things that might fit instead of a frog. So in my case, I came to, on my screen, you can see these beads that I talked about earlier. And some of the beads are these very interesting star shapes. So they look like this, and they are in multiple colors. And so there's the same shapes. I found a shape that was kind of interesting, and I found that there are many colors. And instead of using these frog counters, I might change to these stars. Now, once that's done, then I have to change the narrative, because no longer are we talking about frogs in a zoo. I have to think of another containment that has multiple items in that containment that would be represented by these stars. It could be, and that's probably what I would have you do as a group, is to go and chat at this point in a chat room with another person and decide on what you would choose to let these represent in a scenario that would require you to put 6 in one container, 7 in another, 8 in another, 9, 10, 11. And then we could come back and talk about it. And that's where your creativity comes in. So you've taken this commercially available product and used a substitute, and then you've had to come up with a different scenario, a different storyline that gets the same point across. So it wouldn't be frogs. I might have decided to use the tickets and decided to call them cars if I was working with a young kindergarten boy. And so it might be a garage. It could be the floor of a garage, a parking garage on different floors. And we're looking at 6 cars parked in this level, 7 cars, 8 cars, 9 cars, etc. And then with that in mind, we would go on and do the activity and go through it. So that's the kind of thing that you're doing with the manipulatives. You're providing your own manipulatives, but using these already prepared lessons so that you don't have to do a whole lot of stressing and all that. So if we can go back, I'd like to go to the 3rd grade. And in the 3rd grade, there is another manipulative. So if we go back to the share screen, was that my share screen and yours? Yeah. So in the 3rd grade, equivalent fractions on a number line. So in this case, the objective was to identify equivalent fractions using a number line model. And then they're asking us to go to the try it on an activity page. And of course, you talk about all these other things and bring that abstraction into, but you do it by using these manipulatives. Now, these things here, and I did say that we don't have to buy commercially available things, but having raised kids and having taught school, I have tons of Connects and Legos, if you're familiar with that. And so while they sell these kinds of kits here with these fraction towers, and I have sets of those too, you could also use a Connects or Lego piece to connect and do the same thing. I would, in this case, use my my tickets, because they're all uniformly shaped, multiple colored. And in the case of building these, while you don't have a three-dimensional thing, you have a two-dimensional representation that you could put on a whiteboard, and you could show that two tickets together makes a whole, and the same as one ticket and three, and do this activity. There's also an opportunity to use beads if you wanted to. And in this case, you could take string, like I have over here, and you could string together uniformly shaped beads and represent the same thing in terms of pieces of a whole. And so that's another issue that you might use. And there's other things that you could use. I might decide to use stickies with that. And so I think for the last one, how are we doing for time? I'd like to go back and go to the 6th grade. And in this case, and I really don't want to solve this for us. I just want us to know the variety of things that we can do in order to get to the solutions for using things that are readily available. So in this case, we have the green and the black and white pieces. And I haven't opened my packet yet, and I don't think I'm going to open it. But for this one, the objective is to write and evaluate an expression with a variable. And so again, if we go to the, and you see this is 6th grade, so you're going up to higher grade level. And they have these cubes, not unlike the last ones. And what's great about this material is that they have these little nodules so that they can be connected. And that's what you're looking for in order to do something like this. So they can connect these together. You have 3 different colors, and you can use these manipulatives in a case like this in order to solve a problem. So instead of having these color tiles, 100 per group, and paper and pencil, you could have these manipulatives in the same way. And again, even if you had Legos, single Legos, that would be great. If you had color plastic coated large paper clips, they could be used. Marbles could be used, whatever you had. That would, well, I shouldn't say marbles, I would have to say the flat stone, so that wouldn't be rolling all over the place. But the fun is in figuring out how to make application with the manipulatives that you have on hand. I seem to have lost my phone. I'm gonna put it back up, although we're kind of finished with this. Now, what I did not do is, and I would have asked at this point, if there was a particular grade group that we hadn't dealt with, and so it would be an impromptu opportunity for us to go to that lesson and look it over, code for me, code for you, and decide if there was an application amongst the things that we have that we could use. Here's another item though that we have that I think is so versatile. It is our white stickies. They're all uniformly shaped, and they have a sticky on one side. And in the case of using them as manipulatives, I wouldn't remove the side, I would just use them. But these are nice large manipulatives that would aid in doing the same kinds of fractions of a whole, and you could cut these up readily in order to really demonstrate what's being demonstrated in a couple of these things that we just looked at. So that is pretty much what I have to say about the manipulatives. And we can go back to our PowerPoint. I think that's where I want to go. Yeah, back to our PowerPoint. Good. So, couple available and in this case, what we had was your arts and scraps bag, because we have our own manipulatives there. These manipulatives that we have given you, and also ones that you find in your home, and we want to couple those with the appropriate free math activities using free online curriculum. And this is just one of many. And you have a link in there to another one, which I found to be of the same ease of use and user-friendly. And you'd have to look through and see which curriculums works best for you and which does not, depending on your child. And so, as I said, we had Legos as a example of something that could be used. Connects, if you're familiar with that product. Buttons, caps are good. And then the pencil and paper, because you always need that when you're dealing with math. So the next screen is our reflection screen. And at this point, we're ready to have an evaluation. And this is a little confusing, and I'll try to explain it. In your text box, in order for us to get feedback, we would like you to respond to at least one of the 3 following points regarding the session. So there are 3. One is entitled Thorn, one is Bud, and one is Rose. And you can pick one, or you can respond to all 3 by filling in the word that would best help convey your understanding of that phrase as to where you are. So, for example, for thorn, and it's like that part of a flower. It's kind of thorny because you found yourself being challenged, and the challenging may be that, wow, it was challenging, but I enjoyed it. You know, it was hard for me to kind of get this, but this was great because it sort of opened me up to something that I might not have tried or not. Or you can say blank was challenging and I did not enjoy it. Math is not my thing. I didn't see any answer sheets there. I don't know if I have the wherewithal to couple a non-specific manipulative to a task. I would just rather go out and buy the manipulative. And it may be that. For the bud is, I'm going to try blank. So you saw something that we did, or you heard something, or we shared something in our text box, our chat room, and from me or others that you talk with, or just looking at it, something sprang up in your mind and you're anxious to give something a try. And so that would be, I'm going to try using money when I do arithmetic with my child, which I heretofore did not do. And then, of course, the rose would be something that you enjoyed the most. What I enjoyed most was, and so you can give that. And then if that's put into your chat box, in your text box, we'll have a chance to read it. And others will see also how you felt about certain things, and we can have that. So in your text box, before we leave, you always want to go to the bottom where there's dots for other things you can do, and you want to save. And that way the chat gets saved to your computer and you can go in and open it up. It makes a Zoom folder for you. It saves the chat. You can open it up, and then you have, if we have a link in there, you have that. If we have comments that you want to reflect on or go back to, we have that. And so that's a good process to have. And so that's pretty much it. And I'm going to say thank you for sharing with us. We have another class coming up Thursday, and that's going to be on, I think we're doing multi-level scaffolding lessons. So where if we have different age groups in our homes, as we do in classrooms, sometimes it's different learning levels, different abilities. We have to take lessons and make sure that they are appropriate, same lesson, but appropriate for each age group or each level of learning. And there's ways to do that with some activities. It's very easy to do, and others you have to work hard to do it. But that's very effective. You don't want to spend all your time with a frustrating activity that's great for an older kid, but the younger kid is bored. You want to have an activity that everybody can be equally engaged in and having fun and not being frustrated. So that's going to be our last one in this series. So I thank you so much. And we hope this gets posted and maybe someone will go in and benefit from it. Thank you.